All right, good morning. All this meeting is called to order. Mr. Troman, has anyone signed up for public comment? Thank you, Mr. Troman. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, cases to reconsider under agenda item 3.
None.
Yep. Under tax liability cases on agenda item 4, I think we have one tax case on docket 20 and one on docket 21.
Good morning. Yes, that's correct. For the record, Hugh Daniels, Special Program Appeals. There's one tax liability case on docket 20 and one tax liability case on docket 21. The case on docket 20 is TD-24-005-0224. Commissioner Esparza,
Agree with staff recommendations.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff's recommendation.
Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
That concludes the only case on docket 20. The case on docket 21 is TD-24-002-0124. Commissioner Esparza,
Agree with staff recommendations.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff's recommendation.
and Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
Thank you. That concludes tax liability cases on these dockets.
No fair housing cases, no child labor cases.
Correct.
Under agenda item 7, we have no wage claim cases on dockets 20 or 21 pulled for additional discussion.
That's correct. None pulled for additional discussion, but you should have received the wage claim short form dissent list for dockets 20 and 21.
I'll move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on dockets 20 and 21.
I second the motion except for those cases in which I am dissenting as reflected on wage claim short form dissent list for docket 20 and 21.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases in which I am dissenting is reflected on the wage claim short form dissent list for dockets 20 and 21.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. Let's now move to agenda item 8 and consideration of unemployment insurance cases on docket 20. Please proceed when you're ready.
Case number 3408089, Commissioner Esparza.
Thank you. I agree with the MR should have been granted and that the employer established good cause for its non-appearance due to non-receipt. Concerning the job separation, the claimant was discharged after he organized a get-together on employer's premises, which included consumption of alcohol. Claimant supervisor was out of town and had left the claimant in charge. Claimant provided inconsistent testimony regarding his participation in the event. However, the employer submitted a video which showed the claimant and several of his coworkers sharing drinks in the parking lot. In addition, the employer provided written statements from 4 witnesses who saw the group drinking beer during work hours. As a person in charge, the claimant was responsible for enforcing the employer's policies. Because the claimant violated the employer's policies and encouraged his coworkers to do the same, he mismanaged his position of employment. Grant the MR. The employer had good cause for its non-appearance, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
I agree that the employer's motion for rehearing should be granted under Rule 17 and that the employer established good cause for missing the AT hearing. Regarding the job separation, the employer alleged that the claimant violated the employer's policy prohibiting alcohol consumption on company property. However, the complainant denied the allegations under oath, and the employer did not present any firsthand testimony or evidence to establish that the claimant violated the policy. Therefore, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Grant the MR. Employer established good cause for missing the AT hearing. Affirm the commission's prior ruling on the job separation. No misconduct, chargeback.
Grant the motion for rehearing. Employer established good cause for AT1. Misconduct, no chargeback.
Do you have a ruling on adequate employer response?
No.
Yes, sir. I understand. Majority vote is grant the MR, employer established good cause, misconduct, no chargeback. Just one moment. It does appear that the claimant had the opportunity to receive benefits after the decision was made to grant benefits. So disqualifying the claimant at this point, I think, would indicate an adequate response ruling. And right now, we only have one adequate response vote.
Or you can have 2. Adequate employer response.
Thank you, sir.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3552646, Commissioner Esparza.
We should remand this case. The AT did not adequately develop the record regarding timeliness of the employer's appeal. For example, the employer was not asked some fundamental and pivotal questions, including but not limited to: one, was the charge liability decision sent to the employer's correct address of record? Two, was the employer's appeal filed 1 day late? And three, was the appeal in the hearing packet the only appeal filed by the employer? And four, why did the employer's appeal state that the charge liability decision was received on the last day of appeal and not on the day before, as the witness alleged? The lack of relevant testimony prevents us from rendering a decision in this case. For this reason, we should remand this case back to the AT.
The AT decision is correct. The charge liability decision was mailed to the employer's correct address on 1/11/23. The deadline for filing the appeal was 1/25/23. The employer provided inconsistent testimony as to why its appeal was not filed timely. Since the employer has not established any exceptions to the timeliness rules, the employer's appeal should be dismissed as late, and the commission is without jurisdiction to consider the underlying merits. Affirm the AT, late employer appeal, charge employer's account.
Remand.
We will remand the case.
Case number 3574061, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not fully supportable. I agree that the claimant had good cause for her failure to appear at the AT1. Regarding the job separation, the claimant was informed that her contract as a testing coordinator was not being renewed for the following school year, which constitutes a discharge from employment. Though the claimant continued to be paid through the summer, this was paid for work that the claimant had already completed. Additionally, though the claimant pursued other positions with the employer and was offered and chose not to accept some positions, both before and after she filed for her unemployment claim, there were offers of new work and did not indicate a continuing employment relationship. The employer offered no evidence regarding why the claimant's contract to her testing coordinator position was not renewed. Therefore, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, bill reimbursing employer.
We should modify the AT decision. I don't contest the good cause issue. Concerning the job separation, although the employer provided a letter of reasonable assurance and meticulously attempted to offer the claimant her same or similar job position, the claimant refused to communicate with the employer and never returned to work. Since the claimant refused to accept continued available work, the claimant separation was voluntary and without work-connected good cause. As such, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant established good cause for missing the AT hearing, voluntary leaving, reimbursing employer not billed, sever adequate employer response.
Then establish good cause for AT1, voluntary leaving, reimbursing employer not billed, void adequate response room.
All right, we have majority vote, except on the adequate response ruling.
My vote was to sever. What was the other?
The chairman voted to void. It does not appear that any benefits were ever paid to this claimant.
I concur with the chairman on the employer response.
Thank you. We'll void the AR response ruling.
A short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3577365, Commissioner Trevino.
I agree that the employer's appeal to the commission should be deemed timely. Regarding the job separation, the claimant was discharged for job performance issues. Due to an increased caseload caused by high turnover, the claimant fell behind on meeting deadlines. The claimant worked to the best of his ability, but was unable to meet the employer's expectations once the caseload was increased. Since the claimant was terminated for his inability to meet the employer's standards, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. CA appeal timely, affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Regarding the employer's CA appeal, it should be deemed timely as to the job separation. The claimant was entrusted with handling deadlines regarding his caseload and failed to meet those deadlines. The employer testified the claimant did not communicate with his clients on several cases regarding discovery issues. Because the claimant did not carry out his job duties by failing to meet important deadlines, his actions constituted misconduct connected with work. We should therefore hold the employer's appeal timely and reverse the AT decision. Misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Timely commission appeal, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3582814, Commissioner Sparsa.
We should reverse the AT decision on good cause. The employer's primary representative was traveling from out of town to the employer's office to participate in the hearing and was delayed by heavy traffic. Commission precedent established that a party who called in 4 minutes after the start of the hearing was too late to participate. Excuse me, hang on. Here, the employer called in only 1 minute after the start of the time hearing. The employer should have been allowed to participate because the employer made a good faith effort to participate and was delayed due to circumstances beyond its control. The employer should be deemed to have established good cause for 18-1, and the case should be resubmitted for merits.
The decision is correct. The employer registered late for the AT1 hearing because the general manager was stuck in traffic, but failed to make any arrangements for someone else in the office to register for the hearing. Calling in on time or making other arrangements to participate in the hearing were circumstances within the employer's control. Therefore, the employer has not established good cause for missing AT1. Regarding the job separation, the available evidence established that the employer discharged the claimant after learning that he interviewed for another job. Since simply interviewing for another job is not misconduct, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, employer did not have good cause for missing AT1. No misconduct.
Employer established good cause for AT1, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 3601826, Commissioner Sparsa.
We should reverse the AT decision. The claimant stopped reporting to work after she had an issue trying to cash her paycheck at gas stations and check cashing store. Since the claimant did not appear at the hearing, it's unclear what these issues may have been. For its part, the employer properly paid the claimant. The employer received information from its bank indicating that funds were transferred out of the employer's account within a few days. Since there is no evidence that the check was invalid or that the claimant's problems with cashing her check at non-financial institutions were caused by the employer, the claimant did not establish good cause connected with work for quitting. We should reverse the AT decision to voluntary leaving. In the alternative, we could rehear this case. The employer provided additional correspondence in which includes copies of the front and the back of the claimant's check, along with the other information from the employer's bank. Submission and review of this evidence may shed some light on the matter. Rehear.
The decision is supportable. The claimant quit because she was unable to cash her first paycheck until 2 weeks after the check was issued. The check was rejected from multiple establishments, and the employer failed to assist the claimant with the problem, resulting in the claimant both incurring fees and having to resolve the issue on her own, when all that was ultimately required was for the employer to give authorization for the funds to be released. Since the employer's actions or inactions caused the claimant to go without pay for 2 weeks, the claimant had good cause connected with the work for leaving the job. Affirm the AT, no voluntary leaving.
Rehear.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3603345, Commissioner Sparsa.
We should modify the AT decision. The claimant was separated when she refused to accept further work with the employer. Although the claimant had continuously offered new work assignments, she failed to accept the offer of additional work based on personal reasons unrelated to the work. Since the claimant had continued available work, her repeated refusal to accept the employer's additional work constituted a voluntary separation without work-connected good cause. As such, we should modify the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever adequate employee response.
The decision is not correct. The claimant worked for the employer on a part-time as-needed basis. She had been regularly scheduled for work through December of 2022, but the employer substantially cut her hours in January and February of 2023. The claimant last worked for the employer on 2/25 of 23, and did not know when she would be offered another shift. The claimant reached out to the employer and requested more work, but did not receive any response. Therefore, the claimant was voluntarily separated for reasons other than misconduct. And after she completed her last shift on 2/25 of 23. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
No misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir. That was the last case pulled for additional discussion on docket 20. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 20.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 20.
I second the motion, except for those cases in which I am dissenting as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 20.
I concur with the chair's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting as reflected in UI short form dissent list for docket 20.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you. Going on to docket 21.
Case number 3133956, Commissioner Esparza.
The commission should void the first MR decision, grant the MR, set aside the initial CA decision, and hold one more hearing to allow the employer an opportunity to present documentary evidence of a timely appeal to the commission the employer testifies she has. In the alternative, my fellow commissioners are in agreement. We should void the first MR decision, grant the MR, set aside the initial CA decision, and based on the evidence of procedural irregularities and erroneous decisions mail out by TWC, hold the commission appeal timely and resubmit the case on timeliness of protests and chargeback issues.
The prior MR decision should be voided, the MR granted, and the prior CA decision set aside. A new decision should be issued that dismisses the employer's appeal to the commission as late. The AT decision in this case was mailed to the employer's correct address on 3/31 of 22, with an appeal deadline of 4/14 of 22. The employer filed the late appeal and has not established any credible exceptions to the timeliness rules or provided any physical evidence of an earlier timely appeal. Therefore, we should dismiss the employer's appeal for lack of jurisdiction, void the prior MR decision, grant MR, set aside the prior CA decision, and dismiss late appeal to the commission.
Void the July 11th, 2023 MR decision, grant the motion for rehearing, set aside the November 22nd, 2022 decision. Deem the commission appeal timely and MPC, no chargeback.
We have not yet achieved a majority vote.
I'll concur with the chairman.
Thank you. So the majority vote is to void the prior MR, grant the current MR, set aside the prior CA decision, timely appeal to the CA, timely response to the notice of potential chargeback, and no charge to the employer's account.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Case number 3447079, Commissioner Trevino.
I agree that the claimant established good cause for her failure to appear at AT2. And I do not contest that the claimant failed to establish good cause for her failure to appear at AT1. However, commission records established that the claimant's continued claim involved her work for a gig economy employer in self-employment. As such, the continued claim dated July 9th of 2022 should be voided. The claimant established good cause for AT2. Claimant did not establish good cause for AT1. Void the continued claim, set aside the AT decision, and set aside the job separation and overpayment determinations.
We should affirm the AT decision. First, I don't contest the AT2 good cause issue concerning AT1. Although the AT hearing packet was sent to the claimant's correct address of record, she failed to keep TWC informed about a change of address, which resulted in her missing the AT hearing. Since the claimant missed the hearing due to circumstances within her control, she did not establish good cause. Concerning the job separation, the claimant stopped working when she lacked an effective means of transportation. Because the claimant stopped working due to personal reasons, she is considered to have quit without good cause connected with the work. As such, we should affirm the AT decision. The claimant established good cause for missing AT2 hearing. Claimant did not establish good cause for missing the AT1 hearing. Voluntary leaving overpayment.
Claim established good cause for AT2 and AT1. Set aside the AT, void the continued claim, void the overpayment.
Short form dissent.
We have majority vote on all issues. The second good cause issue is a little split, but we do have majority vote. And I have your short form dissent, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Chair.
Case number 3546569, Commissioner Sparsa.
We should reverse the AT decision. The employer has credibly and consistently stated that it did not receive the wage verification at issue. Accordingly, we should find the employer's appeal timely and remand the case for merits testimony.
The AT decision is supportable. The wage verification notice was sent to the employer's correct address of record and was not returned to the commission as undeliverable. The employer failed to respond to over 4 months. Therefore, the employer's appeal was properly dismissed as late. Affirm the AT, employer appeal, late employer appeal, bill reimbursing employer.
Timely protest, remand for merits.
We will remand the case. And would you like to dissent, sir?
Yes, ma'am, short form dissent.
Thank you.
Case number 3566612, Commissioner Sparsa.
The appeal tribunal decision is fully supportable and should be affirmed. The employer fired the claimant for using abrasive language toward another employee. The employer presented firsthand testimony from the employee that was the recipient of the claimant's abrasive language. This firsthand witness also testified with specificity as to the language the claimant used toward her. Moreover, the employer presented a secondhand witness that corroborated the firsthand witness's account. In addition, the employer also provided testimony that the claimant had previously been warned about his use of language. As such, the employer has established by preponderance of evidence that the claimant's action amounted to work-connected misconduct. Should therefore affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no charge back.
The AT decision is not supportable. Upon discharging the claimant, the employer simply told him that they were going in a different direction. Later, the employer alleged that they discharged the claimant for using inappropriate language in violation of policy. The employer's only detailed account of the final incident was given through hearsay testimony, and the claimant has consistently denied the alleged inappropriate behavior under oath. Therefore, the employer did not meet its burden of showing that the claimant engaged in the alleged misconduct. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, charge back.
Misconduct, no charge back.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3585462, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. Commission records established that the claimant called in for the AT1 hearing, which was scheduled for 2:45 p.m. on 5/31/23 at 2:45 p.m. As the claimant called in at the hearing start time, she should have been allowed to participate in the hearing. Therefore, the claimant has established good cause for her failure to appear at AT1, and the case should be resubmitted for merits testimony. Claimant established good cause for AT1, resubmit.
We should reverse the AT decision. Since the claimant timely called in for the scheduled hearing, we should find that the claimant established good cause for missing the AT hearing and resubmit the case for merits testimony.
Claim established good cause for AT1, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 3602666, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant worked as a professional in a special education classroom. On 2/9/23, a student kicked the claimant in the knee, resulting in an injury that required the claimant to take over a month of unpaid leave to recover from. The claimant returned to work in April, but both she and the teachers in the classroom were concerned about her health and physical ability to do the job, as the complainant still struggled to walk or bend. When a student threw a step stool at her knee on 4/27 of 23, the claimant chose to resign the following day as she feared for her safety because the teachers felt that she could no longer physically work in this role. Her only other option was to seek further unpaid leave. Therefore, we should find that the claimant had good cause connected with the work to resign. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving, bill reimbursing employer, void adequate response.
The AT decision should be modified. The claimant chose to resign due to feeling unsafe at the workplace. However, the employer stated that it never received a report from the claimant about the final incident prior to the claimant resigning. As such, the employer was not afforded an opportunity to remedy her concerns. Moreover, to the extent that the case is viewed as a medical separation, the claimant did not provide the employer with updated paperwork regarding her condition. Additionally, the employer stated that the claimant was cleared to work without restrictions at the time she quit her job. Accordingly, claimant quit without work-connected good cause. We should therefore modify the AT decision, voluntary leaving, reimbursing employer not billed, sever adequate employer response.
Voluntary leaving, reimbursing employer not billed, sever adequate response.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3605849, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant had good cause, reason for resigning from her position after her employer changed the initial hiring agreement. The employer substantially altered the claimant's employment agreement by changing her schedule, requiring her to come in to work at 7 a.m. rather than beginning her shift at 8 a.m., which was her previous start time. The claimant was unable to come into the work at 7 a.m. due to her child's school schedule. The owner of the business continued to harass the claimant about her work hours and the start time after she had already communicated her inability to begin her shift earlier. Therefore, the claimant had good cause for quitting due to the change in her hiring agreement and being continuously harassed to change her schedule. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving, chargeback, void adequate response.
The AT decision should be modified. The claimant resigned from employment while work was still available to her. Both employer witnesses stated that the claimant became upset at the employer's scheduling request. However, the request was reasonable since the claimant had worked the schedule in question in the past. Moreover, the employer had offered alternatives to try and assist the claimant, but the claimant refused those alternatives. Accordingly, the claimant quit without work-connected good cause. We should modify the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever adequate employer response.
Voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever adequate response.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3606909, Commissioner Esparza.
We should reverse the AT decision. The employer maintained a zero tolerance policy on physical altercations or assaults. The claimant was terminated when he expressed his frustration by pushing a coworker with force. Since the claimant use of unauthorized force was in violation of the employer's policy, the claimant mismanaged his position of employment. As such, we should reverse the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response. In the alternative, since the employer is offering video evidence of final incident, we should conduct a hearing to admit the review of the employer's additional evidence regarding the job separation and rehear.
The AT decision is correct. The claimant was terminated for allegedly pushing another employee. The claimant provided sworn testimony denying the employer's allegation that he made any physical contact with the other employee. The employer's secondhand hearsay testimony and evidence are insufficient to overcome the claimant's sworn denials, and the employer failed to meet its burden of proof in establishing that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
No misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3611283, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant was performing work for his employer periodically on an as-needed basis and did not know at the end of each shift when or if further work would be available. Therefore, the claimant was laid off at the end of each period of employment. After filing her initial claim, the claimant only performed work for this employer for 1 day. The claimant was employed for less than 4 weeks and was receiving benefits when she accepted the assignment. As such, 207.045 G1 is applicable here. The claimant's work for the employer, or the claimant's work for the employer paid only $12 an hour, which was significantly less than her maximum range demand of $46.87 an hour. And the work was therefore not suitable. Accordingly, the claimant is not disqualified from receiving benefits under section 207.045 G1 of the Act. Reverse the AT decision, no voluntary leaving, no overpayment.
We should affirm the AT decision. First, since the claimant has worked for the employer for more than a year, section 207.045 G1 of the Act does not apply. Regarding job separation, the claimant stopped working for the employer due to personal reasons. Thus, her disqualification and resulting overpayment are appropriate. Affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving and overpayment.
Set aside the AT, void the continued claim, void the overpayment.
We have not yet achieved a majority vote.
I'll agree with the chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir. And that was the last unemployment insurance case pulled for discussion on docket 21. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 21.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 21.
I second the motion except for those cases which I am dissenting as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 21.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the case on which I am dissenting as reflected in UI short form dissent list for docket 21.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you.
No, thank you. That brings us to the end of agenda items 1 through 8. We'll take a short recess. All right, we're back. This is agenda item 9, delegation of authority to the executive director and deputy executive director for contracts exceeding $1 million.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Townsend, Les Trubin, General Counsel. On January 21st, 2020, in accordance with Texas Government Code Section 2261.254, the Commission delegated to the Executive Director and the Deputy Executive Director the approval and signature authority of contracts that exceed $1 million following Commissioner consultation. The Commission order was subject to review on a biennial basis. After recent review and consideration of the optimal manner of ensuring Commission engagement on high-value dollar contracts, staff recommends that the Commission amend its delegation order to reaffirm the delegation of signature authority to the Executive Director and the Deputy Executive Director for contracts that do exceed $1 million, while also directing the Executive Director or his designee to provide the Commissioners a quarterly report on all agency contracts that exceed $1 million. And I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Comments or questions?
None here.
No question.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move we approve the amended delegation of authority of the approval of contracts exceeding $1 million to the executive director and the deputy executive director pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 2261.254.
I second the motion. Discussion? No discussion?
No
All-
discussion.
Is there any dissenting votes?
I dissent.
All right,
Thanks.
motion carries. So agenda item 10, final rule reviews relating to the general administration. That's 40 Tech Chapter 800, integrity of the Texas workforce system, 40 Tech Chapter 802, and choices, 40 Tech Chapter 811.
All right, good morning, Commissioners and Mr. Townsend. For the record, I'm Reed O'Brien with the Office of General Counsel. Texas Government Code Section 2001.039 requires state agencies to review their rules every 4 years and determine whether the initial reasons for adopting the rules continue to exist. Before you today for your consideration for readoption of rules are the following 3 chapters from Title 40 of the Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 800, General Administration, Chapter 802, Integrity of the Texas Workforce System, and Chapter 811, Choices. In an open meeting on March 18th, 2024, the Commission approved the proposed reviews of those chapters for publication in the Texas Register for a 30-day public comment period. The proposed rule reviews were published in the March 29th, 2024 issue of the Texas Register, and no comments were received. Staff reviewed the 3 chapters and determined that the initial reasons for adopting the rules continue to exist and that the chapters are still needed. So in accordance with the government code's requirements, staff recommends that the Commission readopts chapters 800, 802, and 811 as included in today's meeting notebook and published on the agency's website. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions.
Comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move we approve the adoption of the final rule reviews for 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapters 800, General Administration, Chapter 802, Integrity of the Workforce Systems, and Chapter 811, Choices, as recommended today by staff.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Motion carries. This is agenda item 11, proposed rules for 40 Tech Chapter 850, vocational rehabilitation services, administrative rules and procedures.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Townsend. For the record, I'm Jamie Haywood with VR. Commissioners, before you today for your consideration for approval are proposed rule amendments to Chapter 850, Vocational Rehabilitation General Rules. These proposed amendments clarify the VR Division's comprehensive system of personnel development standards for qualified vocational rehabilitation counselors. In alignment with 34 CFR 361.18, the proposed rule specifies the education and experience requirements for VR counselors. It also clarifies that VR counselors are considered qualified to perform non-delegable duties upon meeting the minimum initial standards for hire, successful completion of required training, and an initial probationary period that allows demonstration of performance. Finally, the rule clarifies that the VR division helps VR counselors advance as qualified personnel by making funds available for the required graduate education under the circumstances specified in the rule. Staff recommends submitting the proposed rule for publication in the Texas Register for a 30-day public comment period. Staff also requests the ability to make minor, non-substantive changes to the document to comply with publication requirements of the Texas Register and the Office of the Secretary of State. This concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No, sir.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move we approve the proposed amendments to 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 850 Vocational Rehabilitation Services Administrative Rules and Procedures for publication for public comment as recommended today by staff.
I second.
Moving to second, motion carries. This is agenda item 12, Texas Education Code, Chapter 133, Apprenticeship Training Program Performance Measures.
Good morning, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Trevino, Commissioner Esparza, and Mr. Townsend. For the record, Carrie Ballast, Workforce Development Division. As requested at the April 30th meetings, staff have identified top-performing Texas Education Code Chapter 133 programs using performance measures adopted by the Commission at its August 22nd, 2023 meeting. The discussion paper in your notebook materials gives an overview of the process and what was learned while we did the analysis. Upon completion of this analysis, staff recommend using the performance measures and the associated program parameters for the award of fiscal year 2025 Chapter 133 Apprenticeship Training Program contracts. This concludes my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions?
The continued growth of apprenticeship reflects how great this model is. The parameters recommended will guarantee high-quality programs are funded at the $4 contact hour rate. But the current funding available could cause possible 40% reduction in awards, which in turn could have greater impact across all industry and geographical distribution. I want to thank staff for continuing to search for ways to sustain the contact hour rate and fund as many contracts as possible.
Additional comments or questions?
No.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move we approve the use of performance measures for the award of fiscal year 2025 Texas Education Code Chapter 133 Apprenticeship Training Program contracts and the associated program parameters as described in the discussion paper and recommended today by staff.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded, motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 13 has been postponed to a future meeting. This is agenda item 14, funding to support healthcare training initiatives. Ganging up on us now.
Yeah.
Good morning. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Townsend, for the record, I'm Mary York with Outreach and Employer Initiatives. At the April 30th, 2024 Commission meeting, staff were asked to bring forward a discussion paper with initiatives to address the shortage of healthcare workers in the state of Texas. Recent projections indicate employment in healthcare occupations will grow 23.9% by 2030, adding over 298,000 new jobs. The demand for all healthcare occupations is expected to grow faster than all other occupations combined. Staff have identified 8 opportunities for increasing the number of healthcare workers across the state, and those opportunities are outlined in your meeting materials. Unless the commission prefers to skip straight to discussion, we can provide some brief remarks on those 8 initiatives. The first 3 are from Outreach and Employer Initiatives. The first of which is to allocate up to $2 million in 2024 WIOA statewide funds for Upskill Texas for healthcare employers seeking to upskill incumbent workers providing patient care. The second item is to use up to $3 million from the Skills Development Fund in 2024 and 2025 to fund a new initiative to support dual credit costs such as tuition and curriculum development or acquisition to expand the availability of these programs across the state for healthcare occupations. And the third is to allow up to $2 million from the Skills Development Fund to be used for public sector healthcare employers seeking to train new or incumbent workers. Along with that, one staff recommends the temporary reduction of the prevailing wage requirement from 25% to 10% to ensure all areas of the state, including rural areas, have the opportunity to upskill their healthcare staff. With that, I will pass the mic to Joel Mullins to cover the 5 initiatives from Workforce Development.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Townsend. For the record, I'm Joel Mullins with Workforce Development. Staff from the Workforce Development Division have identified an additional 5 opportunities to address the healthcare shortage. The first of these starts with number 4 in the discussion paper, which is to make $1.5 million in WIOA Title I statewide funding available to community and technical colleges or independent school districts for the purpose of developing capacity in nursing training programs. This could include curricula, supplies, and instructor salary costs. Next, to make $1 million in WIOA Title I statewide funding available to local workforce development boards by application to support paid internships for eligible youth and adults in private or public hospitals, healthcare clinics, home health organizations, and skilled nursing facilities. Number 6 would be to dedicate $1 million from the Texas Industry Recognized Apprenticeship Grant Program specifically for healthcare occupations. Number 7 would be to dedicate $600,000 in DOL apprenticeship expansion grant funding for incentives to employers that opt to pursue establishment or expansion of registered apprenticeship programs with pathways leading to registered nurse. And then the 8th and final initiative is to launch a $500,000 adult education and literacy initiative to assist internationally trained professionals in obtaining the credentials needed to continue their education and career pathways within Texas. This morning, staff seeks direction on the opportunities presented here today to support the growth and development of the state's healthcare workforce. This concludes our remarks, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
Howdy, Chairman. Joel, Mary, thank you all very much. And thank you all for doing the work and creating these ideas. Chairman, thanks for the initiative to support the healthcare, especially in rural areas. I'm happy to support all these items. I want a little bit more information on item 7. And again, I think I also want to thank Carrie for engaging in our office for answering a few questions that we have. But ultimately, like kind of a high level, what does the $600K provide in addition to the healthcare apprentice program that we already have? Hi, Carrie.
Good morning. For the record, Carrie Ballast. This is another unique opportunity we have with expansion grant funds. We do have employers who come to the agency and ask with assistance in registering apprenticeship programs with DOL, and that's all they want. They're not in pursuit of another grant or any of our other initiatives. Through DOL, we have the ability to pay those employers roughly $500 to $600 per apprentice that they bring on as they create or expand a new program. This is not in addition to any other grant they're receiving.
Okay, so it's a new, basically your new initiative to support those expansions.
Yes, sir.
Are we able to increase the funding for the healthcare apprenticeship grant in another way? Because I know we have more money, or we have money available for that. I just wanted, the only thing I was making sure is that you know, I definitely want to be able to promote and engage more hospitals and organizations to take advantage of that apprenticeship money that we have. But this is something separate than that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, it is in addition to.
Would it be fair to say separate to, yes, but in addition to some things we're already?
Yes.
This
Okay.
is a list that would increase available options that are available to whomever, employers, nonprofits, whatever's going on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
And she backed away from that microphone. I had just gotten to my first question. No, yeah, all I'm gonna say is that this is very timely. This is very well thought out. Is very comprehensive. I appreciate all the work that went into this. I've met now at this point with probably conservatively 15 to 20 different healthcare providers in the state, hospitals, both public and private, others. There's just a lot of concerns. We've done a lot of good. I think that our healthcare apprenticeship program has been good, but what I've learned is that employers like certain tools based on their business model, and apprentice wasn't for everybody, despite what I think, they didn't think that worked in their model. And I think it's our job to respect that. I think this gives them a very good available set of tools. I think much of this could be used to help put good pipelines of employees in place so that we can start addressing some of these issues. There are things going on at other agencies, and I think that this will work very well in concert with those things. And so a great list, I think a great opportunity for TWC to do something very timely and concrete to address what's a very real issue for Texas employers. If there's no further discussion, is there a motion?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say, I agree with both the statements made by Chairman and Commissioner Esparza on this. It's timely and very needed, and I look forward to working with all of them. So I move to approve the funding of opportunities for supporting healthcare training initiatives as described in the discussion paper and presented today by staff.
I say,
Been moved second, vote unanimous. Thank you.
thank you.
Oh, he is ready for an executive director's report.
Good.
Mr. Towns.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. I have a couple items. Let me start first with Eric Holm coming up and to give us an update on where we are with our the disaster related in the Houston area, but on the unemployment claims part of it.
Yeah, good morning. Eric Holden with Unemployment Insurance. I'm providing an update on serving Texans affected by the recent severe storms. On May 17th, the president authorized federal disaster aid for Texas to assist individuals affected by the severe storms under declaration number DR 4781TX. Currently, the disaster declaration covers the following counties: Harris, Liberty, Montgomery, Polk, San Jacinto, Trinity, and Walker. This afternoon, we will issue a press release announcing the availability of disaster unemployment assistance, or DUA. The deadline to apply for DUA claims is July 16th. Individuals will first apply for regular unemployment benefits. However, if they are not eligible, generally because they did not have enough work history or were self-employed or later exhausted benefits, we will take a DUA claim. We are reaching out to customers who submitted a disaster affected claim before the president's declaration and who were not eligible for regular benefits. As of this morning, approximately 320 individuals have submitted disaster affected regular unemployment claims, with 10 of those submitting a DUA claim. That concludes my update, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions or comments?
None here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. The other item I wanted to mention, late breaking news shortly before the commission meeting started. I think we all probably learned less than 20 minutes before this morning that Courtney Arbor, our workforce division director, has been selected as the new executive director at the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation effective June 1st. So obviously I'm personally sad to see this news, but at the same time excited for Courtney and of course thankful for all that she's brought to the workforce system over the years with TWC and prior to that at the local level. So certainly we're supportive of that. I know she's been meeting discussing with Ed the transition plan and that sort of thing. So it's a very short window here, we realize, but just want to make sure that you had seen that news and again wish Courtney all the best, and we'll move forward as we always do on these things. So just wanted to make you aware of that. So thank you for that. That's all I have.
All right. Any other item of business needs to come before the commission?
I just wanted to say congratulations also to Courtney, and it will be a tremendous loss for TWC, but great for her. Wish her all the best.
Yeah, I second that also, but it stands a lot to know that she can be, she's able to move it at such a quick pace to get over there. I know TDR is already welcoming her because I'm getting text messages. I'm over here, yes, we just got, so I'm excited for that. But it's also a great opportunity for our office, not to mention the gain of access that we have over there at TDLR now with her there. So it's always helpful and it's good for our program too.
Agreed. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn, and we are adjourned.